G'day, ZiggyD here with an overview of Path of Exile's new expansion, Betrayal. The Forsaken Masters, long our allies, have disappeared, and a mysterious organization called the Immortal Syndicate has stolen an artifact that can raise the dead. With the help of new allies, we'll be investigating the Syndicate and learning more about its operations across all of Rayclast. What has happened to our old friends is not clear, but perhaps the title of the expansion, Betrayal, holds some clues. Interrogation, coercion, and execution will be our weapons as we interfere with the Immortal Syndicate's supplies, fortification, and research divisions, while we're hounded by Syndicate assassins. Through our actions, we'll be able to influence the Syndicate from the outside while we pursue our goal of discovering the mysterious leader's identity so that we can bring the whole organization down. Essentially, in Betrayal League, we play the role of a detective investigating a criminal cartel made up of notable characters from Path of Exile's world. And this is a very character-heavy expansion with 19 new and returning voice-acted characters. I'll explain further how Betrayal will play later in the video, but for now let's talk about Masters and the return of previous League mechanics. Betrayal is Grinding Gear Games' way of overhauling the outdated Forsaken Masters system and bringing back major League mechanics from previous leagues. Except for Zana, all of the old Masters are gone. Replacing them, we have new allies in Einhar of Bestiary League, Alva of Incursion League, and Nico of Delve League, along with June Ortoi, who will be assisting in bringing down the Immortal Syndicate. Gone are the days of opening a box for Varici or slowly escorting zombies for Katarina. Instead, we'll be getting entire League mechanics like Delve, Incursion, and Bestiary as our master missions. Master daily missions will also be moved to the Atlas to better become part of the endgame of Path of Exile. Masters will appear on the Atlas, highlighting a certain map in which a mission can be found. And to better suit hardcore and casual players, these missions will be generated both daily and after a threshold of play is met, for example, after a set number of maps have been played. Master missions are going to be a much bigger event now as well, with, for example, Alva giving multiple incursions at once, and Nico giving enough fuel for multiple delves. Also, Bestiary, which was met with mixed reception, has a major overhaul that I'm sure many of you will be pleased with. No longer will we need to manage and use nets ourselves. Einar will come along on the hunt with you and do the capturing himself. In addition to that, each Einhar hunt will include several beasts and a guaranteed red skull to capture. Now, master crafting has been a huge aspect of PoE's crafting system since its implementation, and it too is getting an overhaul. The UI is improved, the crafting options list is expanded, but most interestingly, the way in which you obtain the specific crafting options has been changed dramatically. This is because masters no longer have levels, so crafts are not associated with just grinding out a bunch of missions for XP. Instead, specific recipes will be obtained by doing certain challenges within the game. For example, you may obtain a certain craft by completing a specific room in the Temple of Atzawadal for Alva Valai. With this system, you'll organically unlock some crafting options by playing the master content, but you'll also be able to somewhat deterministically unlock specific crafting options by focusing your efforts on specific elements of the master content. To tie in with the master overhaul, the hideout system is also being updated. Players will now have a single unified hideout between leagues, so no more needing to redecorate each league. You'll also be able to save and load templates, and even share them with other players. Additionally, you'll now unlock hideouts by finding them hidden around the world. Locate and clear a hideout, and you'll be able to claim it for yourself, including one of the new tile sets. And finally, no more master levels means no need to upgrade the size of your hideouts. It'll be full size from the start, and you can invite all the masters immediately after encountering them. And now, let's take a closer look at Betrayal League and how it works. The Immortal Syndicate are an organization that has figured out how to bring its members back from the dead without them becoming the undead. It's through this power that we'll even see the return of a slightly more intelligent Hillock as a fully voice-acted character. They've gained this power by stealing an artifact from the Order of the Jinn, June Otoy has been tasked by the Order to investigate the Syndicate, and she's enlisting our help. Given that we often kill things and want them to stay dead, we have a bit of a vested interest in helping her out. We'll track the information we uncover on the Syndicate screen. The Syndicate has many members, and each of them have different relationships with each other. It also has 4 arms to its structure: fortification, transportation, research, and intervention. Fortification encounters will see you assault a fortified area protecting Syndicate supplies. These forts will be guarded by turrets, undead spawners, and barricades, and they'll be commanded by a Syndicate member. Occasionally instead, you may stumble upon a convoy of supply vehicles being led by a Syndicate member. Your mission will be to stop these convoys in their tracks. Think of these encounters as an anti-escort mission. Research encounters will have you invade an underground research lab. The Syndicate members will try to destroy their research before you and June can take the intel for yourselves. You'll have to clear your way to the Syndicate members and stop them before they can succeed. Now, as you can probably tell, we'll be making quite the nuisance of ourselves by interfering with the Syndicate's fortifications, supply convoys, and research labs. Once you've caught their ire, the intervention arm of this Syndicate comes into play, and they may send assassins after you to try and stop your investigation. These assassin attacks are pretty spooky because they can come at any time. You could even be in the middle of a boss fight when assassins strike. Now, whenever you capture a key Syndicate member at the end of one of these encounters, you'll be presented with a couple of options of how you can use them to further your investigation. Interrogating them is your primary means of gaining the information you need to learn the identities of Syndicate members and eventually find their leader. Get enough information and you'll be able to uncover the location of the safe house for that member's branch of the Syndicate. Interrogating also takes that Syndicate member out of action for a while, which may be useful if they've been pestering you. Another option may be to strike a bargain with a captured Syndicate member. You'll let them go, but they'll help you change something within the Syndicate. Bargain is somewhat of a wild card in what the Syndicate member will offer you. They may offer to influence a relationship or weaken another member for you. Syndicate members will only strike a bargain if no other Syndicate member is around to witness it. They wouldn't want to fall afoul of their own organization after all. Encouraging a Syndicate member to betray their allies may be another option at times as well. This will only work if there are multiple Syndicate members present who currently share a relationship. You may, for example, be able to have them betray their commander and take over their position within the Syndicate. Finally, you can simply execute them. Since these members can be raised from the dead by the Syndicate, this is actually a noble end to being captured for them. Members who are executed may be promoted and even given special items for their loyal service. And this may make them stronger in some way next time you encounter them. Now, why would you want a Syndicate member to be promoted? Why would you want to alter relationships and offer them bargains? Betrayal's reward structure is rather interesting. The safe house you uncover and attack, and the Syndicate member currently in charge of that safe house, affects the type of rewards you can get. Because there are many Syndicate members and 4 possible safe houses they can rise through the ranks to claim control of, that gives you a lot of options for how your penultimate encounter will go. With enough manipulation, you may even be able to have Hillock take over the fortification arm of the Syndicate. And with how many years Hillock has been pounding at the gates of Lion Eye's watch, it seems only fair he might finally be allowed to be inside a safe house for once. The 4 safe houses are rather different, and the members you'll encounter there may well depend on your previous actions. Once you clear the safe house and defeat its leaders, you'll have a chance to raid the leaders' living quarters where they stash their personal items. The leader of that arm of the Syndicate will have the most of their type of loot for you to claim. In addition to that, each safe house raided will give you intelligence as to the location of the actual Syndicate headquarters, where the mastermind behind the organization resides. Now, I don't yet have any info to share on how that final encounter will look. From talking to Chris Wilson, the entire theme of this expansion is mystery, and he seems quite happy for us to have a lot of things to discover for ourselves. From a gameplay perspective, we'll be interfering with Syndicate activities in the world and in maps, gathering intelligence on safe houses, and altering the shape of the Syndicate's member structure. Once we have enough information, we'll raid a safe house, gather our loot, and continue our investigation towards the next one. After completing several safe houses, we'll then be able to tackle the headquarters itself. and after that, it'll reset and we'll take on a new syndicate. Now, I'm not so sure how the lore fits that last point, but it's important to note that this is of course repeatable content, and with many different combinations of safe houses and syndicate structures to explore for different rewards, there will be a lot to discover in each investigation. Now, to speak more to the loot side of things, a new addition to gear and crafting comes with Betrayal as well. Veiled items have modifiers that must be unlocked by June. These are all new modifiers that can even appear on some of the new unique items this league. When you unveil one of these modifiers, you will have a choice between 3 options, allowing you to customize that item. As an added bonus, choosing a veiled mod will unlock it as an option for you to mastercraft yourself from that point on. So even if that particular item with the veiled mod isn't very good, you will be able to take what you've learned and apply it to other items. The craftable versions of veiled mods also get stronger each time you unveil that mod as well, so you can craft more powerful items the more veiled mods you find. Now, as with every major expansion, there will be other content added to the game. Betrayal will add 15 new uniques, some with the veiled mods, and even new endgame maps brought over from some of the new Delve tile sets. Chris Wilson mentioned to me that with some players crossing the 10,000 hours played mark, they realized that those sorts of players could have spent over 100 hours in each map tile set. As such, he continues, it's important to them to add new tile sets every expansion to continue to provide variety to the place where endgame players spend most of their time. Betrayal also includes new and revamped skills for 3 different player archetypes, with a total of 10 skills being adjusted or introduced. Ice Nova, Ice Spear, and Vortex reworks have already been revealed, but I'll also be discussing in a bit more depth 2 new skills in my next video, Winter Orb and Stormbrand. So with my overview complete, here's my final thoughts. Betrayal is looking to be a rather complex league with a lot of moving pieces and things to discover. It's pretty suitable then that the theme is heavily based around mystery and investigation, because that seems to be what us as the player base is going to be doing, in both the direct sense with investigating the Syndicate, but also in a meta sense, with us investigating how the league works. Personally, I'm a big fan of this, because my favourite leagues have been the ones that have had mechanics and rewards we had to spend some time puzzling out. Just last league, figuring out in Delve how hidden rooms and what spoils the darkness held was a real treat, and it seems Betrayal is going even further with this concept. Not to mention that not only will Incursion be returning as promised, but also Bestiary and Delve, and this promises to be a huge boost in the endgame content for Path of Exile. I think there is a risk here with this expansion that Betrayal could be rather confusing and overly complex. It's certainly confusing when you're first trying to understand how it all works. But personally, I prefer this approach to the design because of how much it offers us to figure out and discover, and I think that's always been Path of Exile's strong point. It also feels like an expansion really dedicated to the entrenched player base, which is a good commitment for ZiggyD to make as more and more people start to squeeze multiple thousands of hours out of the game. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And if you have any questions, I might be able to expand or further explain some of the mechanics, even though much of the league is as hidden to me as it is to you guys at this point. But that's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and I'll see you guys in Betrayal.